Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurumilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamsta Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadhvetam Savadutam Parijana Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakam He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishvanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shri Gaura Bhaktavrinda. Hare
Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna
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 Krishna,
Hare
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 Hare,
Hare
Hare
Rama Hare
Rama, Hare
Rama
Rama,
Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare
Jai.
Krishna. Jai.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Soni Mataji, for doing the lovely Manglacharan, a prayer of gratitude. We are reading Prabhuji Danvat Pranam. Please accept humble obeisances from
Jai.
everybody in this group and from myself.
Please accept mine.
All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Jai.
We are reading the Srimad Bhagavatam, Prabhuji. We are on Canto 1, Chapter 17. Chapter 17 is Punishment and Reward of Kali. And the text for today is text 19, Prabhuji.
Jai. Thank you very much.
You.
How come you and Sony Mataji, you have the same screensaver?
Because we are subscribing to the same channel. I mean, this site that we have, it's under the same name. So
I see. And where are those deities, and who are those deities?
Soni Mataji, I think these deities are from Lithuania.
Yes, it's Madhuri Kunj, yes, from Lithuania.
Lithuania, I see. Okay.
Yes.
Yes, so beautiful.
They're
Very
stunning.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Absolutely
very
stunning.
beautiful.
The smile is like captivating. It's just amazing smile. Yeah, it's very pretty.
And then this screensaver comes even when I'm doing my work. So, I mean, I'm most of the time on Zoom. And even if I have logged out from here, this screensaver has now become my screensaver. So even everybody sees it. So they get a darshan of Radha Krishna. They don't know that they
very
are.
nice.
So
Very nice.
No, that's wonderful. Beautiful.
Yes, so happy. Yeah. And they're so pretty. Yes.
Okay.
One day we'll go to Lithuania together.
Yes, without a doubt. I'd love to. I've heard so many nice things about Lithuania. So today, Canto 1, Chapter 17, Text 19, Punishment and Reward of Kali. Kechid Vikalpa Vasana Ahur Atmanam Atmanaha Daivam Anye Pare Karma Swabhavam Apare Prabhum. Translation. Some of the philosophers who deny all sorts of duality declare that one's own self is responsible for his personal happiness and distress. Others say that superhuman powers are responsible, while yet others say that activity is responsible, and the gross materialists maintain that nature is the ultimate cause. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. As referred to above, philosophers like Jamini and his followers established that fruit of activity is the root cause of all distress and happiness, and that even if there is a superior authority, some superhuman powerful god or gods, he or they are also under the influence of fruit of activity, because they reward result according to one's action. They say that action is not independent because action is performed by some performer. Therefore, the performer himself is the cause of his own happiness or distress. In Bhagavad Gita 6.5, also it is confirmed that by one's mind, freed from material affection, one can deliver himself from the sufferings of material pangs. So one should not entangle oneself in matter by the mind's material affections. Thus, one's own mind is one's friend or enemy in one's material happiness and distress. Atheistic, materialistic Shankites conclude that material nature is the cause of all causes. According to them, combinations of material elements are the cause of material happiness and distress, and disintegration of matter is the cause of freedom from all material pangs. Gautama and Canada find that atomic combination is the cause of everything, and impersonalists like Ashtavakra discover that the spiritual effulgence of Brahman is the cause of all causes. In the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord himself declares that he is the source of impersonal Brahman, and therefore he, the personality of Godhead, is the ultimate cause of all causes. It is also confirmed in Brahma Samhita that Lord Krishna is the ultimate cause of all causes. So, I'd like somebody to give a talk on this because I didn't understand a word. So this is really amazing stuff. So we're in the technical stage, and what Prabhupada has done mostly, not exclusively, but what he's done mostly, he's kind of copied and pasted from the previous acharyas and from other scriptures, and he hasn't really gone into. Prabhupada always refers back to Bhagavad Gita. You see this time and time and time again. Bhagavad Gita is the foundation. And when we're getting into technical stuff like this, Prabhupada always defers to the Bhagavad Gita. But it's interesting that he's comparing the different philosophers and how they conjure up many, many different ways. The bull is still speaking here in the text itself, in the translation. Some of the philosophers who deny all sorts of duality declare that one's own self is responsible for his personal happiness and distress. So then the bull goes on to enumerate the speculations of other kinds of philosophers. It's not that everything is literal. This is a discussion in the Srimad Bhagavatam. There's a discussion between Shukadeva Goswami and Maharaj Parikshit. So this whole discussion is there to enunciate between the reality of the absolute truth and the entanglement into which we have fallen, and how over a period of 7 days, in the case of Maharaj Parikshit, he was able to get out of this entanglement. But the whole idea is the entanglement is deep. It's not just something that whimsically we can intellectually or academically just overcome just by the study of books. If we can kind of drop that for a minute and go into the Bhagavad Gita, if you have it there, it's a very interesting verse, 434, that famous verse. So tadvidi pranipratena pariprashnena sevaya upadekshanti te jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshinaha. So Prabhupada is saying the path of spiritual realization is undoubtedly difficult. So there's an admittance that the path it's not easy. But what has made it easy is Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And he has made it incredibly easy. Otherwise, it's an endeavor to get into all these different philosophies, which are bona fide, which are genuine philosophies. Like even the philosophy of, as is mentioned in today's purport, the philosophy of the Shankaracharya. of Lord Shankaracharya. I mean, this is Lord Shiva himself who incarnated as Shankaracharya to completely bewilder the conditioned soul. Because, why? I mean, these are genuine questions. Why? Why would Shankaracharya? Because this is what people want. They want to be bewildered. So if you want to be bewildered, as the verse 15:15 states, Matasmritya Jnanam Apohanam Cha. From me comes knowledge, remembrance, and forgetfulness. So if we want to remember Krishna, he provides that. We want to be covered over, he provides that. We want to remember him, that intelligence is given. So in this verse 434, Prabhupada is saying, the Lord therefore advises us to approach a bona fide spiritual master in the line of disciplic succession from the Lord himself. No one can be a bona fide spiritual master without following this principle of disciplic succession. So we have the whole disciplic succession who are supporting everything that Srila Prabhupada has given us. And Prabhupada himself is relying completely on the disciplic succession to enunciate his ways and means by which we ourselves can take shelter of Prabhupada and go back to Godhead. The Lord is the original spiritual master. That's the first and foremost point. This purport has so much in it. And the person in the disciplic succession can convey the message of the Lord as it is to his disciple. No one can be spiritually realized by manufacturing his own process. So today's verse, there's a little bit of that, which is being enunciated by the bull. Because they just some people say this, some people say that, and these people that the bull is referring to, these are deep philosophical thinkers who are there within the pages of the Vedic scriptures. But still, it's not everything within the pages of the Vedic scriptures are going to direct us towards Krishna. In a lecture from Srila Prabhupada I heard recently, he was saying that some people, they follow the scripture and they take shelter of the goddess Kali. So they're following the Vedic scriptures, but they're worshipping the goddess Kali because they want some return. And we know the story of Jad Bharat, and they tried to sacrifice Jad Bharat, a pure devotee, to the goddess Kali, and she was so incensed by this. Even though they were her followers, she jumped off the altar and just slaughtered all of her so-called followers to save Jad Bharat's life. So it's not that just because we're blindly following the Vedic scriptures that everything automatically falls. Well, it's in the scriptures, Prabhu. So it's there. No, it has to be under the auspices of a bona fide spiritual master. The Bhagavatam says, Prabhupada is quoting, Dhaman tu Shakshad Bhagavat Pranitam. The path of religion is directly enunciated by the Lord. Therefore, mental speculation or dry arguments cannot help lead one to the right path. So this is the direction that the bull is trying to bring us towards. Forget about mental speculation or dry arguments. They cannot bring us to the right path. And these arguments, although they appear a little bewildering because they're contained in the Bhagavatam, they're there for the purpose of generating thought, generating debate, generating a little bit of an inclination towards finding out, well, what is the absolute truth? And what is the absolute truth? Krishna's tu Bhagavan Swayam. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is Krishna. That's the bottom line. There may be so many other things, Jaimini and Patanjali and all these different philosophies, there, Shankaracharya and so on and so forth. But what did Lord Chaitanya do? He came to dispel all these notions of these Mayavadi philosophers. And look at Srila Prabhupada's Pranam mantra. Nirvishesha Sunyavadi. So Prabhupada came to dispel all this Nirvishesha Sunyavadi. So as we don't become bewildered by this, because that is also, because it's in the Vedic scriptures, that is also very attractive. And we can divert in so many different ways. It's not that we don't set out to be Mayavadis, we don't set out to be impersonalists. But if we're not acting on the platform of the heart, then the danger, if we just blindly follow in a particular direction, and then the danger is that we can be diverted very easily. And it's not like it's theoretical. There's so many stories contained within the pages of the Bhagavatam that show how many devotees, they just became bewildered. In the Krishna book, we see, for instance, Lord Brahma, he was completely bewildered, completely, when he stole the cows of the cowherd boys and hid them in the cave, just for a short period of time. But that short period of time was eons and millions of years. And yet, Krishna lived on the planet for 125 years in our time. But yet Lord Brahma, because it was in his time, he stole the cows and the cowherd boys for just a few hours. And immediately we know from Krishna book, they were replaced by Krishna. So when those cows and cowherd boys went back home in the evening, after sharing their burfis and their gulabs all day and playing around with the calves, when they went back home in the evening, their parents were completely bewildered because they saw their son, but their son was now Krishna. But they didn't know that. The form was their son. And here's Brahma hiding in the caves, thinking that he's a smart guy, hiding everybody. So that period of time in Brahma's time was millions of years. It was one of Brahma's days is countless to us. But yet at the same time, Krishna appeared on the planet only 125 years. And what to speak of the night when the Rasa Leela was carrying on. So that was a night of Brahma. It was a night of Brahma, the Rasa Leela. But in our time, it was just 12 hours. So the whole thing is, if we get into all these things, it can be like, wow, this is like too much for our heads. So we don't need to get into all these things. If we want to get in and study all this stuff very deeply, that's one thing. But then we don't want to end up in a situation where we become so involved in the academic pursuit of the contents of the Srimad Bhagavatam and the scriptures that we end up being completely bewildered and we lose sight of the goal. So Prabhupada goes on to say, therefore, mental speculation and dry arguments cannot help lead one to the right path, nor by independent study of books of knowledge can one progress in spiritual life. It's not just by simply picking up a book and reading it, analyzing it academically, intellectually, that then we reach the goal. One has to approach a bona fide spiritual master to receive knowledge. Such a spiritual master should be accepted in full surrender, and one should serve the spiritual master like a menial servant, without false prestige. Satisfaction of the self-realized spiritual master is the secret of advancement in spiritual life. Inquiries and submission constitute the proper combination for spiritual understanding. Unless there is submission and service, inquiries from the learned spiritual master will not be effective. So it needs a lot of Trinada Pisa Nichina, Tarora Pisa Ishnuna, Amanina, Amanidena, Katanya Sadahari. We've discussed this before. In that one verse, Lord Chaitanya has enunciated, he's given us the secret, if we can call it that, of what is the qualification for going back home, back to Godhead. One should chant the holy names of the Lord in a humble state of mind, thinking oneself Lord and a straw on the street, more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, and should be ready to offer all respects to others. In such a state of mind, one can chant the holy names of the Lord constantly. So this is like a precondition to entering the bliss and the nectar that is there in the holy name. So if we qualify with this precondition, more tolerant than a tree, that's an effort. Even that in and of itself, to be more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige. Immediately somebody says something about us, immediately the ego, it recoils, and we want to push that thought away, and or defend it, or even become aggressive towards the person who is making that accusation, true or false, regardless of how it may be. That's irrelevant. And ready to offer all respects to others. And this is big stuff. This is asking a lot. This is not small time thing. So if we can qualify for that one verse given to us by Mahaprabhu, but look at the results. Just look at the result. If we do qualify, and we do get past that precondition that Lord Chaitanya is giving us, then Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself, he says, I do not understand how much nectar is contained between the two syllables Krishna. I cannot comprehend. This is Mahaprabhu speaking. I cannot comprehend how much nectar is contained between the two syllables Krishna. And when he's chanting, particularly in the later Leelas, when he was in Jagannath Puri and spending time on the beach with Swarup Damodar and his other disciples, Swarup Damodar was his secretary, taking care of the Lord very, very carefully, nourishing him. He would just go into pools of ecstasy, literally melting, like into a blob, because he couldn't contain himself in his body, because he was submerged into the names of Krishna. And we read the descriptions of Lord Chaitanya. We're having so many Rath Yatras now, because of the Rath Yatra period. We read so many descriptions of Lord Chaitanya, how he organized the kirtan parties in front of each Rath cart. He personally took charge of that. And he put, okay, this one you chant on this cart, you chant on this cart, you play this madanga, you play these cartels, you sing this tune, you sing that tune. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he personally, and he just danced and danced and danced. And everywhere he went, when his reputation gathered, people would come and take the dust from the ground that he'd walked on, to the point where there were huge craters every single step he took. The earth was just littered with, it was like a moon landing. This was Mahaprabhu. So we see, this is us. We are in the Leela of Mahaprabhu. We are in the mercy of Mahaprabhu. Gaura Bhakta Brinda. We're part of this as a direct result of what Srila Prabhupada has given us. I mean, it's unlimited mercy, but we have to realize it. We have to take advantage of it. And it's there. You just have to take it. You just have to bite it. It's like biting an apple. Just bite it. You don't need instructions for how to do it. Just bite it and eat it and relish it. That's the philosophy that we're contained. But then our mind just takes over, and we get involved in so many things that just battle the mind. Bewilders us unnecessarily. Completely unnecessarily. Satisfaction of the self-realized spiritual master is a secret of advancement. One must be able to pass the test of the spiritual master. This is another one. So that test will come in all shapes and sizes, all forms. And it's particular to us as an individual. It's not that the same test applies to everybody, and then one day, you have to pass the test. But your friend down the road, he's already gone through the test and he passed. So he told you how to get around it. It doesn't work like that. Each test is applicable to me as an individual. And there may be many tests depending on how far we've come. When he sees the genuine desire of the disciple, he automatically blesses the disciple with genuine spiritual understanding. Automatically. Like when you're driving an automatic car, there's no need for the gears. You don't need to know how the engine works and what kind of fuel it is and how the carburetor works. You don't need to know any of that stuff. You just sit in it and drive. In this verse, and this is very important, this part here. In this verse, both blind following and absurd inquiries are condemned. We don't ask the spiritual master, how do you make steel? You know, I mean, you can't expect the spiritual master to know these things. No, why would you waste your time asking the spiritual master these insane questions? It's nothing to do with what you need to know. Not only should one hear submissively from the spiritual master, but, and this is the part of the spiritual master plays, one must also get a clear understanding from him in submission and service and inquiries. A bona fide spiritual master is by nature very kind toward the disciple. The Prabhupada is speaking of his mercy to us. How merciful he was to us to give us this philosophy, to go through all these huge austerities, coming to the West, leaving Vrindavan, coming and giving us, trying to set up this society, this movement. And it's there for us now, today, in 2023. It's there all for all of us. It's on a plate. All we have to do is eat it. Therefore, when the student is submissive and is always ready to render service, the reciprocation of knowledge and inquiries becomes perfect. So this is it. That's it. That's it. It is perfect. It's already perfect. The whole process is perfect. We just have to fine tune our application to the process. We're already in it. We don't need to overthink it. We don't need to over endeavor, in the sense that we have to dream up all kinds of concoctions and ways of doing this, that, and no, we're already doing it. But we have to have some confidence in our own ability to reach that perfection. That's all it takes. We shouldn't be shy of developing some confidence. We've come this far. We don't have to hold back now. There's no need. There's nothing to be lost. There's everything to be gained. But there's a lot to be lost if we just give up and we don't have the faith to allow us to continue. Like if we look at the verse again, some philosophers who deny all sort of duality declare that one's own self is responsible for his personal happiness and distress. Others say superhuman powers are responsible, while yet others say activity is responsible, and the gross materialists maintain that nature is the ultimate cause. So all these speculative ideas. So why are these we'd have to ask the question, why are these speculative ideas enunciated in Srimad Bhagavatam? Because this is life. This is what goes on. Like let me read that a little bit, that verse 15:15. Sarvasya chaham shri sinivishto matasmrita gyanam apohanam cha. I am seated in everyone's heart. From me come remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. By all the Vedas I am to be known. Indeed, I am the compiler of Vedanta, and I am the knower of the Vedas. I'm the compiler of Vedanta. So what is Prabhupada's name? Bhakti Vedanta. So he's the one who has reached the conclusion that bhakti is the ultimate result of engaging in this process. AC Bhakti Vedanta. And the AC, Abhay Charanaravinda. Fearless. Fearless. So Prabhupada didn't get this name for nothing. This name was actually applicable to every single waking moment of Prabhupada's life. Fearless. And we also have to imbibe that degree of fearlessness in order to move forward, because the forces of illusion are strongly against us. But if we have faith in our own ability under the auspices of the spiritual master, and we develop this strength on a day by day, hour by hour basis, we build on this strength. We've already laid the foundation. We've accepted that the philosophy is the panacea for our lives. It's our saving grace. So we've laid that foundation. It's already there. We don't need to get into that too much. And then we're building on it. Every single moment, every single thing we do is engaging in Krishna consciousness. every single round that we chant, every mantra we utter. This is building and building and building on this strong foundation. And then with that, we can go forward, we can move. Just like in the case of Draupadi, when she was being brought into the court of the Kauravas, and they were trying to disrobe her. And at first, when Dusasan was trying to strip her of her sari, she was fighting. She was also a kshatriya. She was fighting, she was resisting with her own strength. And what was her argument against Duryodhana and Dusasan and all of them? Remember, there were great personalities sitting there. Bhishma Dev was sitting there. He did nothing. And Dronacharya was sitting there. He did nothing. None of them. They left a woman on her own to defend herself. They did nothing. These are Mahajans. These are described as Mahajans. They did nothing. They were bewildered. They were completely bewildered by the moment, by their loyalty to the palace, because they were kept like a paid servant. So they had to express their loyalty by doing nothing. The first duty is to protect the women, the Brahmins, and the cows. They completely fell on their face. And what was Draupadi's argument? She said, "The sun has never seen me naked. The moon has never seen me naked. The planets have never seen me naked. And you want to see me naked like this?" So the planets, the moon, the sun, they're the witness. And who's the ultimate witness? The Paramatma. So how does it work then? How do we go from one body to the next, to the next, to the next? When at the time of death, we've forgotten what our previous activities were from previous lifetimes, from this lifetime, at the time of death. But then when we want to pick up wherever we have left off, the super soul guides us from within. Then he gives us the instruction, okay, you left off here, then you start from here. We see it so many times, great musicians. They die, Beethoven, Bach, and all these wonderful composers. And we see, even today, we see children who just come up 4, 5, 6, 7 years old, come up to the piano and start playing like maestros. Where does that come from? Children pick up the tabla and boom, 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 and they're just like they were born. Like the tabla was in the womb or something. Or the madanga. So these things are coming from previous lifetimes, and the super soul, Paramatma, from within, he guides us in the next period of time. So wherever we have left off, so there is a continuation. There's not a break. The break is only in our head, but there's no real break. We just travel from one body to the next to the next. And the advanced soul is not bewildered by such a change. So we're not bewildered. Just like Jad Bharat, he remembered his previous lifetimes. Even in the body of a deer, he remembered his previous lifetime. So in his next life, as Jad Bharat, he made sure, I'm not going to fall into that trap again. So he went around behaving like a dumb man, as if he was dumb, stupid, blind, everything. He didn't care. And then the whole conversation between him and the king and everything went from there. So Prabhupada is saying, even if there is superior authority, some powerful god or gods, he or they are also under the influence of fruit of activity, because they reward result according to one's action. So the demigods, as powerful and all as they are, Lord Shiva, Lord Brahma, they're completely under the control of Lord Krishna. We see the pastime of Mohini Murti. Lord Shiva was completely bewildered, completely left his wife and just fell head over heels for Mohini Murti. Here's the Lord appearing in the body of a woman. So there's nothing that the Lord cannot do. They say that action is not dependent because action is performed by some performer. Therefore, the performer himself is the cause of one's own happiness or distress. In Bhagavad Gita 6.5, it is also confirmed that by one's mind, freed from material affection, one can deliver himself from the sufferings of material pangs. So the sufferings of material pangs, they're something that we experience on a daily basis. But when we do eventually just completely submerge ourselves in the process, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaran, these material things, they don't affect us anymore. How many obstacles Prabhupada faced when he came to the West? How many obstacles he faced when he was fighting for the Juhu complex? Shamasundar was here in Birmingham the week before last for the Snan Yatra, and he was doing his book signing, and he has chapter after chapter in his book, Chasing Rhinos with the Swami, his chapter about the whole pastime of what went on in Juhu at the time of when Mr. Nair was trying to take the temple back from the devotees, with the help of the Birmingham, with the help of the Bombay municipality and the police. Everybody was in Mr. Nair's pocket. And Prabhu was working with devotees. Prabhu was in Hyderabad. Prabhu was working with his disciples who didn't have a clue what they were doing. New to India, new to the ways and means of how things work in India. And the corruption that was prominent there in the Bombay municipality. But still, from Hyderabad, by phone and by letter, Prabhu was directing everything. How you do this, you do that, you do the other. He sent Vishaka, the same Vishaka, who's now the temple president in the manor. He sent Vishaka with a letter from Hyderabad to Mumbai to tell the devotees, whatever you do, do not cancel the contract. And that's exactly what they had done. While she was on the train going to Bombay, they were in the process of cancelling the contract. And she said, I've come here from Prabhupada with one instruction and one instruction only: don't cancel the contract. We did that yesterday. So, this is what Prabhupada had to work with. Still, Prabhupada was able to overcome all these problems and get on with it and just deal with it, because Prabhupada was completely and totally dependent on Krishna. Completely. Whatever Krishna wanted, good, bad, or indifferent, we can't decide. Well, Krishna, I did this, so I expect this result. No. Just throw your hands in the air. What do the soldiers do when they're in the war and they're surrounded? Just throw their hands in the air and surrender. What did Mahaprabhu do? He just threw his hands in the air. He taught us. Throw your hands in the air, you surrender. Okay, Krishna, I'm yours. If we try to work it out in our head, if I do this, if I do that, if I do the other, then no, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. We discussed this yesterday. Man proposes, God disposes. We may want something and Krishna may give it, provided we are able or in a position to use whatever we ask Krishna for in his service. Krishna gave to Prabhupada unlimitedly. There was no limit, literally. Krishna gave Prabhupada the planet to do with it whatever he wanted. And did he use? Not even a cent for his own purposes. Everything was for Krishna, everything. And so that's the example. Yadyada charati shreshtas. He set the example for us to follow. Now, we are not Prabhupada, and we may not be on the platform where we can surrender to that degree, but at least we should recognize where we are, what our level is at, and to what extent we can build on that and then chart a course for our own future, which is perfect, which is ideal. We certainly don't want to go back. And forget about this idea that, this is bothering me and that's bothering me. Yes, that will bother you. There's nothing that won't bother you. Every day we wake up, we're bothered by the fact that, we have to take a shower and brush our teeth and get ready for the day and go through the whole motions of just waking up. That's a botheration, but we do it. You're not going to say, well, I can't be bothered, I'm just going to stay in bed. It doesn't work. What do we achieve by that? So we have to just make the effort, make the endeavor. And what an endeavor, what an effort it is. What we've been given, millions and millions and millions of years of generations of disciplic succession there in our support to prop us up, to help us move on with that process. It's not like we're alone. We're not alone. So we have Gaur Govinda Maharaj, when he would come to Sumu, in one lecture he gave in Krishna Mai's house, and he was crying. He said, "This is a crying religion. It's a crying religion. We just cry, we beg, simply cry and beg, please Krishna." Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, "No good qualities do I possess. I have no qualities. But with your help, with your mercy, I can enter into this world of spirituality with the mercy of Krishna." We can't do it alone. We can't do it with our endeavor. We have to get Krishna's mercy. Krishna's mercy, we get Guru. Guru's mercy, we get Krishna. So we have everything is there. But, if we concentrate solely on the things that we don't have, then that's fine. We can do that. We're all individuals. Nothing can stop us. But if that's the whole concept of our vision, all the things I don't have, the progress I'm not making, and this and this and this, and it's all negative, 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 then what will be the result? Prabhupada says when the businessman goes into the marketplace, he goes to the stock exchange, he's discussing stocks and bonds and profits and loss and so on and so forth. He's not talking about Bhagavad Gita. He's talking business. That's what you do in the stock exchange. You talk business. You talk money. So we have this philosophy where we're talking 24 hours a day. We have this opportunity to talk Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, spirituality, progress, spiritual life, Goloka Vrindavan. And we have so much there to support us. So we have to immerse, like the businessman in the stock exchange, that's his motivation. And he's firmly fixed on that. So now our motivation on the other side must be firmly fixed on what we need to do. We make the commitment, the more we make the commitment, the more we progress. Tesham satadayoktanam bhajatam priti purvakam tadami buddhi yogam tam yena mama payanti te. To those who are constantly devoted to serving me with love, I give the understanding by which they can come to me. Constantly devoted. We're already constantly devoted to serving Krishna with love. We would like to assume that at least this is our motivation. It's our desire. We may not be in that groove yet, but it's our desire. We want to reach that stage. So then why does Krishna say, to those who are constantly devoted to serving me with love, I give the understanding by which they can come to me? It sounds like a contradiction. You're already in that mood of serving Krishna with love. Why would you need more understanding by which because it grows deeper and deeper and deeper. with every second, with every moment in time. But we have to allow it to happen. We are our own worst enemy because we allow the mind to interfere and we can't get past this obstacle. Oh, this and this and this and this and this. Yeah, we can come up with a million this and this and this. And that will always be the case. Forget about it. Just allow yourself to be yourself, to discover who you are. The science of self-realization, the journey of self-discovery. It's all about us, you and Krishna, and that relationship which is there, which exists right now at this moment in time. And if we allow the process to happen, it will happen. But if we put obstacles in the way, then it's like we're not allowing the flow. We're just putting obstacles in the way. Forget about the obstacles. It's there, it's going on, we're doing really well. Everything is fine. It really isn't a problem. Even if there is problems, if there are problems, it's still not a problem. Because we're in the groove, we're there. Prabhupada says it's automatically the son inherits the wealth of the father. And Krishna is our father. Krishna says it in Bhagavad Gita. I am the seed-giving father of all living entities, even my slugs in the back garden. He's the seed-giving father. So Krishna is the father of us all. So is a father not going to take care of his children? Of course. So we just have to surrender to the process, bit by bit by bit. Little drops of water wear away the stone. Prabhupada used to quote that extensively. Little drops of water wear away the stone, and that's a fact. So this Maha Mantra, every day we're chanting around, it's chipping away and chipping away and chipping away at the steel heart that we have put around our naturally soft heart. We've coated it with this thick layer of steel. So allow the Maha Mantra to chip away day by day by day by day, hour by hour, minute by minute. And whatever obstacles we encounter, just say, like Draupadi, Hey Krishna. As soon as she surrendered, Hey Krishna. That was it. Problem over. The same when Durvasa Muni came to visit with all his thousands of disciples. One tiny, tiny, tiny little grain of rice remaining in the pot. Krishna manifested. The satisfaction of having eaten a huge meal in the stomachs of Durvasa and all his disciples. He said, no, it's okay, we're fine. We don't need to eat. That was Krishna. Anything is possible with Krishna. Anything. Literally, anything. The sky is the limit. Beyond the sky. We don't need to do anything. We don't need to do anything, literally. We just have to eat it. Take advantage of this philosophy and dive in to the ocean of devotion with no commotion and nothing but promotion. So I'll stop there a little bit early today, if you don't mind. And this is a really amazing part of the Bhagavatam. The whole Bhagavatam is amazing, but this part particularly, Prabhupada invested so much of his energy into this first canto, because that's what he brought with him from Vrindavan. He hadn't translated anything yet so far, and he brought this with him. He was so proud of this first canto. He invested so much of his energy. He had nothing. He was walking around Delhi penniless, looking for paisa, not even rupees, for paisa, to put this together, and he did it. Insurmountable obstacles, he overcome them. He said, I used to dream of going to New York, but it was just a dream to fulfill the order of my spiritual master. I could just dream about it. It was impossible for me, inconceivable, to go to New York. And look at now. All you boys and girls have come. sent by my spiritual master to assist me, to help me in my mission to my spiritual master. Prabhupada praised his disciples all the time. Prabhupada wanted nothing more than to be with his disciples, no matter where he went. Australia, New Zealand, Nairobi, to America, to London, whatever. Prabhupada just wanted to be with his disciples. Immediately walked out of the airport. There's so many videos. Prabhupada would walk out of the customs and immigration, big smile, everybody going crazy. Why? What was it that touched these devotees, that gave them that ecstasy that's available to all of us? Meeting Prabhupada or not meeting Prabhupada, we have Prabhupada in his vani. I remember when the Leelamrita came out, and Satrup Maharaj was visiting London. I think it was 81 or 82. I was running the restaurant at the time, and so the planting the seed, that was the first one that came out. A Lifetime in Preparation, although that was volume 1, that came out later. But Planting the Seed, volume 2, that came out first. So it was Prabhupada's mission, and where he went all over the world, planting the seed of bhakti everywhere he went. And I asked Satrup Maharaj if he could autograph my copy. So he did. And he said, please engage in Srila Prabhupada's vani nicely. So it's the vani. This is so important. Everything is in Prabhupada's books. When you read these books, there's always something that Krishna, through the super soul, will touch you and say, oh, yeah, I see the point now. But we have to do it. It has to be a constant thing, not just occasionally in a hit and miss affair. That's why these classes that you've organized, that you're engaging in every day, is so important. Because there's always something. Every time I read in preparation for a class, there's something that gets me, and I say, oh, wow, now I see it. Even though I may have read it 1,000,000 times, now I see it. Because Krishna, at that point in time, he hits you with the understanding. And then you say, yeah, okay, fine. And then that leads to other things and other doors. But if we just switch off and we never engage with the process, then how on earth can it be helped? We cannot be helped. We have to also, it's a reciprocation, it's a two-way street. It's a relationship. We have to relate in order to build a relationship. And then, okay, thank you very much. Thank you for your patience. Much appreciated. Are there any questions or comments?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, thank you for an excellent class on immersing us once again in Srila Prabhupada's Leela. Prabhuji, how many times did you meet Srila Prabhupada?
I never did.
You never did.
I joined in 79. Well, it was January 78 that I met the devotees, just shortly after Prabhupada left. So the whole mood was Prabhupada. And I actually joined the temple after coming and going to the temple on visits. I actually joined in 79. And then I ended up, after I was in London for some time, I ended up in America when the Leelamrita, the Prabhupada Leelamrita, was being researched and developed. And Satrup Maharaj, he sent me out on the road. So I did the research for the Prabhupada Leelamrita. I was given that, fortunate to be given that service. So I interviewed all of Prabhupada's disciples in America. So I heard every day, every Chicago, New York, Los Angeles, San Francisco, Miami, everywhere I traveled, I would seek out these Prabhupada disciples who had left, gone away maybe years ago, who used to be Prabhupada's servant or secretary. I would beg them for an interview, sit down with my tape recorder, and that's how it was. Like it was like I did meet Prabhupada. Of course I did. Of course I did. And we all have that opportunity to
we feel that you have met him and you are writing as he's with you. Because that's
Yes.
how you are telling us. So we have that power that, yes, you have met him and we are seeing him that way as well. So
Yes.
thank you,
Yes.
thank you for
It's just wonderful. I mean, Prabhupada is a personality. I've been a reader all my life. I've read so many books and so many histories and so on and so forth from the time I was a child, but I've never ever come across anyone like Prabhupada. Never, never. Even in the whole of history that I've read about, there's nobody like Prabhupada, and he came in our lifetime. In our lifetime,
that's it.
you know, to the same planet that we're on. I mean, that's like it's a miracle. It's a miracle. So I was probably in London, you know, enjoying myself in the bars and nightclubs at the same time when George Harrison was donating the manor. I don't know.
Mhm.
But who knows? Because you know we happen that we're living in London. Prabhupada walked in London. It's a place of pilgrimage,
Yeah, yeah.
literally a place of pilgrimage. To have a place like the Manor, to be able to see Prabhupada's rooms, to be go in there knowing that Prabhupada sat here. He sat at this table. He gave darshan. I mean, this is big time stuff. We're very lucky. We're very lucky.
We're very blessed. Okay, we have exhausted our time, but does anybody have a question or a comment? There are no questions. Yes, Arya Govind Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam.
Jai Haribol Dandavat Pranam.
Thank you so much, Prabhu, for this wonderful Prabhupada nectar. I was just thinking when you were talking about Prabhupada, the Prabhupada's relation with his disciples was so sweet, and even though he used to chastise them many a times, but these disciples loved him so much that more than their parents. And
Yes.
many a
Yeah.
times, I think parents came complaining that you have taken my child, you've taken my
Yes.
child. So, but they were so attracted to Prabhupada that they could leave their parents, but not Prabhupada.
Yes. Especially Brahmananda. Brahmananda and his brother Gargamuni, both Jewish, highly educated, finished their degrees, everything like that, and then they joined Prabhupada and gave up their academic life. And Prabhupada told Brahmananda to invite his mother to the initiation ceremony. So Brahmananda is persuaded, no, Jewish New York, you know, Jewish mother. So what? So she didn't want to come, but anyway, Brahmananda persuaded her. She came along, and then they did the ceremony. Brahmananda Gargamuni were initiated, and then afterwards, Prabhupada asked her for a donation, and she absolutely hit the roof. She hit the roof. She said, "A donation? I've given you 2 sons. How much do you want?" Prabhupada just smiled, and you know, this is, you know, yeah. Then when the devotees will be chastised by Prabhupada, they would say, "Oh yeah, I got the sauce." Yeah, got the sauce. That was the mood. The people, devotees loved it. They love to be chastised. It's the duty. It's the duty of the parent to chastise the child, put them in the right direction, doing something wrong. But Prabhupada did it with love. Prabhupada never did it with anger, in the way that we become angry. Prabhupada will become angry, but then a second later, it's gone, forgotten. But the lesson was learned. That's how this society was built. The devotees do anything for Prabhupada, literally anything, just as long as he was happy. Tribhuvannath told me he was sitting in Prabhupada's room in Berry Place. Tribhuvannath had opened a center in Edinburgh. Prabhupada was educated by Scottish Churches College in Calcutta, and so he great respect for these his teachers in college. They were, you know, very high level, high class Scottish men who were teaching Prabhupada. So he had the greatest respect for them, and he wanted to go to Scotland. But Tribhuvannath, he opened that temple, and he came down to London to explain to Prabhupada what was going on. Prabhupada patted him on the head. Very nice. And while Tribhuvannath was just sitting there, Prabhupada was conducting interviews and darshans with other people coming in and out of his room. Tribhuvannath was just sitting there, relishing the wonder that it was sitting with his spiritual master. I don't know if you know Tribhuvannath. He's also an Irish devotee, and he left his body a few years ago. But anyway, he turns to Prabhupada and he said, Prabhupada, can I do some service for you? Prabhupada said, no, everything is fine. Prabhupada was so happy with the Edinburgh temple. And then he just turned to Prabhupada, Prabhupada, can I polish your pen? So Prabhupada said, okay. So Prabhupada picked up his pen and gave it, and he polished Prabhupada's pen and gave it back. Yes, thank you very much. Just anything, to do anything for Prabhupada, to please him, to make him happy, to make him smile. Devotees would go to the ends of the earth to please Prabhupada. Why? Because they're pleasing Krishna. They're connected with Krishna. That energy was there. Krishna's energy was there, extant, visible. You could touch it, you could feel it. So devotees were connected with that energy. And we're also connected with that energy. It's not because we didn't meet Prabhupada or we're not connected with Prabhupada or we feel we're not connected because we didn't meet him. No. Prabhupada's mercy is open to all of us. And provided we want to take it, if we want to take it, it's there. Just go for it. There's nothing to stop us. Nothing. Jai. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Haribol.
Glories to Prabhupada. Arya Govind Prabhu, kindly end this wonderful session today. Please.
Yes. Thank you, Prabhuji. I was just listening to Prabhupada's one of the Bhagavad Gita lectures yesterday. I just wanted to mention yesterday that he said, we can take the whole world back home, back to Godhead, but these rascals will not come.
Yeah.
So, and he said particularly that you engage the tongue in chanting the holy names and then you eat Krishna Prasadam. These two things anybody anywhere in the world can do. So
yes.
Literally we can take the whole world back home, back to Godhead, but these rascals cannot do that.
No.
So this was his, that hit me very hard that,
yeah.
How can we, not follow these two simple principles? But as you said, Prabhuji, our mind is encapsulating all our senses, and then we are controlled by the mind and senses. So thank you so much, Prabhuji. For
I'm
this
one of
wonderful
these
class.
rascals that Prabhupada was speaking about.
Oh,
No, Prabhuji.
you're taking us all back to Godhead. We are going to be holding on to your dhoti.
We relish your so much, and then we go into Prabhupada Leelamrita, and then we have that humble request that we can start reading Prabhupada Leelamrita one day.
Yes, it's impossible not to get into Prabhupada Leela, even though we're not doing a verse about Prabhupada Leela, but you remember so many things that so many devotees may have told you, or you interviewed somebody and suddenly some word pops up and you say, oh yeah, I remember this. And it's not something you can do kind of artificially where you make a plan to talk about, but it's somehow or other, Mata Smrtir Gyanam Apohanam Cha, and suddenly it just comes to you, and then what to do.
True.
Yeah. Jai, thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Prabhu. I request all the devotees to unmute and then chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra in glorification of His grace, Vidura Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Hare
Hare Rama, Rama
Rama
Rama,
Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Hare.
Vancha
Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Vacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah.
Hari Hari Bol.
Hari Bol.
Jai.
All glories to Prabhupada. Thank you very much. Good night, everybody.
Vidura
Hari Bol.
Prabhu ki jai.
Yeah.
Hari Bol.
Hari Bol.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji, for ending the session.
Hare Krishna.